The bees are the fuzziest, the trees are the fuzziest. My knees are the fuzziest, the cheese is the fuzziest. Well, I'm the liveliest, up like the bumpiest waver. Who's that? Ew, who is this? Fry pickle letter. Ooh, good letter. When God finds the R. Why'd you pick it? You know race car is the only word that has 2 R's? Can you think of any other word that has 2 R's in it? No. No, that's not a real word. Racist. What did I just say? Race car is the only word. Everything else is made up. What is that?
Okay, hello. Hello.
Because it's
Hi.
a no-filter aquarium, you kind of usually want it to be low maintenance as well. Welcome to a new video, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Exactly 1 year ago I set up this little 5-liter or 1-gallon vase, and I absolutely love it. I've been running without a filter from the very beginning. It was kind of my first attempt at setting up a no-filter aquarium, so I think for my first attempt it worked out quite well. Now, to be honest, we've done a very long time, without the regular water changes. So today we're going to do a little maintenance session and clean out the plants a little bit, kind of turn into a little jungle. And then we'll talk about the 5 or 6 keys to a successful no-filter aquarium. Now, before we take a close look at how the vase is looking right now, let's actually go back 1 year and just see how this thing was built and how we kept it in the very beginning.
The setup was actually quite simple. I had this vase for a while already, I just didn't really know what to do with it. Then I found the perfect piece of wood and the ideas started flowing. To make sure the wood wouldn't float, I glued a small rock to it. Once the wood was in the vase, I started adding a small layer of vacuum soil. I knew I wanted to make a small sun area in front, so I also added in some rocks and gravel to make a little barrier between the soil and the sand. Once that was done, I added in more soil, and that was the hardscape complete. For the plants, I just took some small trimmings from my other plants, so I had some small crypts, some marcellea, some Fuchsia blanda, and a few other plants as well. I'll leave the link to the setup video in the description if you want to check out the full process.
wood floaters. The scientific name is
Don't care.
Campus fluitans. There's some duckweed in here as well, but mostly redwood floaters. I really like these because especially on a low tank setup. So these redwood floaters, they really give that touch of red that you really need. You don't need it. It just looks good, you know? And the reason why I think that these floating plants are so great in a no-filter aquarium is basically for two reasons. Firstly, because they help you to control the light. I mean, unless you have light that is dimmable, you really need something to control the light. Because in a no-filter aquarium, you can't really have very intense light. It's just going to cause algae blooms. So if you add some floating plants, they will start multiplying. And then if they start blocking too much light, you can easily remove a few floating plants, or you can actually add some more. So they really help you to just find the right balance with the light intensity. And the second reason why they're so good is because the floating plants, the leaves are mostly above the water, so they have access to the CO2 that's in the air. And that way they grow quite fast, and they soak up a lot of these excess nutrients. But they basically just act as a filter in this aquarium. By soaking up all these excess nutrients, by growing fast. So I really think that any no-filter aquarium should really have some floating plants. Speaking of light, the light that I'm using on the face is a Chihiro C2RGB. Quite a fancy light. Also have all these shades that you can buy separately. Help you reduce the intense light the LEDs. Yeah, it's not really a budget light. It's quite expensive. Yeah, I think it looks really cool with this setup. So the vase itself holds 5 liters or 1 gallon. It's 25 centimeters high and it's 6 centimeters across. And the base is a wooden plate that I found in some bike store and I painted it black. I think it looks pretty cool. Now that we've removed some of these things, a little bit more light coming into the face. You can see what's happening. So there's a lot of cherry shrimp in here. No-filter fry aquascape. This one I've set up like a month ago. Here we have a whole lot more guppy babies. We're not really talking about this one today. One thing that I really love about this setup is that for the past year I haven't really made any changes. Usually when I set up an aquascape, after a few months I will either add some new plants or I will take out some old plants. Maybe add some new rocks, something like that, just to spice it up a little bit. But this one I just changed that at this stage. The only thing that I added, I think after about 6 months or so, is these the Ludwig, these red ones. So I added a few stems all the way in the back, and this one just grew out by itself.
Waddling around.
Of course, the vase looks at its best when it's viewed directly from the front. I'm actually curious if I look from the side as well, because you can never really turn it around.
Hey,
You can kind of see how
wait there.
overgrown everything is. Here we have
Somebody yells out, "Fat man!" He goes, "Yes, that's me."
and then the moss is all the way to the glass. basically
Swooning.
Wow, it's so dreamy.
We do have a little bit of fungus growing on the wood. Let's see, we can maybe remove that later when we're doing the maintenance session. So like I said earlier, I haven't really done any maintenance on the vase. The only thing I really do is every Saturday I'll do a 50% water change and I'll just siphon out the dirt from the substrate. Here in the front we just have a thin layer of sand, and over here we always have a little bit of the detritus that's just collecting. So like once a week I'll just siphon all that out, do a 50% water change and just replenish it with fresh water. That's usually the only thing I really do. Now I think the second key to success are those regular water changes. I mean, because we don't have a filter, basically all the shrimp poop, the fish poop, it just sinks straight to the bottom. A good portion of that shrimp poop will make its way into the substrate, where the beneficial bacteria will transform it into nutrients for the plants. Like there's only so much that these beneficial bacteria can handle. So by doing these regular water changes and by vacuuming the substrate, we kind of remove a lot of the waste organics, and we just keep a very clean, no filter aquarium. But I think that's enough talk. I think it's time we get to work. So the main thing I want to do with this maintenance session is just thin out the plants a little bit, actually mostly the moss, because there's so much moss here on top. It's blocking all the light for the rest of the plants. So we're going to remove a lot of moss, allow for more light coming into the aquascape. Basically open everything up a little bit more, create more swimming area for the shrimp and the fish, and just give it a fresh look again. Okay, so let's first get started by removing these shades. So we'll just give us a bit more space to work with. And then let's see, I think on the left, this left area here, there's a lot of moss. So let's see if we can open this up a little bit more. So just take the scissors. In here we just have a mix of, yeah, I think it's mostly Phoenix moss, Physidens fontanus, and then there's some, I think it's mini Christmas moss in there as well. Okay, we're making good progress with the maintenance session. Already removed a lot of moss from this left side here. I also removed mainly the stem from this plant right here. So the stem was going all the way down, but because it was not really receiving a lot of light underwater, it was just a stem, there were no leaves on there. So it looked very bare, very ugly. So I just removed the stem, and it will still be just fine. Like it will just grow new roots that will grow into the water basically. And as long as the bottom section of the plant is in the water, it will just keep on growing, no problem. And before we continue with the maintenance session, let's quickly go over the third key to a successful no-filter aquarium. I think another key to success is having a good balance between fast-growing plants and slow-growing plants. Because it's a no-filter aquarium, we kind of usually want it to be low maintenance as well. If we have a lot of fast-growing plants, we'll probably be very successful, but you do have to do a lot of maintenance. It's kind of what we don't really want here. In a no-filter aquarium, the plants basically act as a filter. I mean, they will grow, they will absorb nutrients, they will absorb waste organics. So you need to have a decent amount of filtration, a decent amount of plants. So if you would have only slow-growing plants, it would be very low maintenance, but you don't really have a lot of that biological filtration. So a good mix of slow-growing plants and fast-growing plants is really a key to success in my opinion. So here we have a lot of Java ferns, Anubias, Bucephalandra, all very slow-growing. The moss is kind of slow-growing as well, but then we also have the pearlweed, we have the Ludwigia, we have some Marshallea on the substrate here, which you can't really see, but it's still a fast-growing plant. So a good mix between slow-growing and fast-growing plants is definitely a key to success in my opinion.
Now the fourth key to a successful no-filter aquarium is to have a small bioload. So in this phase I only have a couple shrimp and a few guppy babies, and altogether they produce very little waste, so the tank doesn't get very dirty.
Okay, making progress. Pulled out a lot of moss from the top, from the left area, from the right area. So if we turn it around, you can see now we actually have a lot more space here. So I think we can also trim the pearlweed and then we can get a bit more dense bush. Let's see. Now I want to clean up the front a little bit. So this little bit of Bucephalandra here, I want to trim it because it's just hanging there. Clean up this front area a little bit. We definitely need to clean the glass as well, but yeah, let's just keep on going.
Another key to a successful no-filter aquarium is to feed very little food. Now that I have some baby guppies in here, I feed a bit more often, but very small amounts. When it was just a shrimp, I would feed them once a week or maybe even once every 2 weeks. Again, just to keep the waste organics to a minimum.